So today I'm going to be learning more about the Finnish military by watching this video. Finland's military is now a NATO superpower, and of course I watched a video before about Finland joining NATO and the benefits it brings to both NATO and to Finland. So interested to watch another video on a similar subject. You can tell me what you think about this one. Let's watch.
Finland, the land of 1,000 lakes, the northern lights, and some of the toughest soldiers on the planet. If you think Finland is just about reindeer and saunas, think again. This small Nordic nation has one of the most effective and well-prepared military forces in Europe. And with NATO backing them up now, they're not just defending their backyard, they're making sure nobody dares to step foot on it. So let's break down Finland's military power as it stands today. And trust me, you'll want them on your side in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you do want Finland on your side. It does say NATO backing them up, but like, Finland are just such a strong country military-wise, whether it's through experience in different conflicts, like the Winter War, of course, I've learned a lot about, but things like conscription, which is relatively unique to Europe. Finland's geographical location and the benefits that brings to the military, and then to NATO overall. It's so important.
First off, Finland doesn't mess around when it comes to defense. Unlike some countries that rely on a small professional army, Finland takes a different approach, total defense. This means if war ever breaks out, the entire country is getting involved. Every road, every forest, every frozen lake could become a battlefield. Every citizen is part of the national security effort, and it's not just soldiers who are trained for war. The entire society is built on a structure that can be transformed into a wartime operation when necessary. Civilian infrastructure, businesses, and even everyday services all have contingency plans for times of crisis. This level of preparedness is rare, and it's what makes Finland one of the hardest countries in the world to invade.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is there any other countries that are as prepared as Finland? I've seen things like the huge, numerous underground bunkers in Finland, which I haven't seen anywhere else. Things like conscription as well, having all these plans in place. Do you know of any other countries like that? How did that strategy evolve, or when did it begin? How did it evolve?
And thanks to their mandatory conscription system, nearly every able-bodied adult has received military training. Each year, around 21,000 men and women go through rigorous training, learning survival skills, weapons handling, and combat tactics. And once their service is over, they don't just walk away from the military. They remain part of the reserve force, receiving regular updates and refresher training to ensure that, even years after conscription, they can still fight if needed. Right now, Finland has around 900,000 trained reservists, meaning that if war were to break out, they could rapidly mobilize an army larger than many European nations combined. Think of it as a country where almost every citizen has at least a basic idea of how to fire a rifle and survive in harsh conditions. Also, let's be real. If you've survived a Finnish winter, an invading army is going to feel like a mild inconvenience. The Finns don't just endure the cold, they thrive in it. The backbone of Finland's defense is its army. While the standing force is relatively small, at around 23,000 active personnel, the real power lies in its reserves. An estimated 280,000 can be mobilized immediately, with an additional 620,000 reservists available. And this isn't just a random collection of part-time soldiers. These are men and women who have gone through some of the toughest military training in Europe, ready to defend their homeland with everything they've got. Finland specializes in defensive warfare. They don't plan on attacking anyone, but if you try to invade, they'll make sure it's the worst decision you've ever made.
I mean, that's the thing as well. Trading like for that specific strategy means that like the Finnish military or the army are like very specialist in that and can execute those strategies well because they're so well versed, they're well trained in it as well. And like when they're talking about the conscription being like very difficult, how was conscription for you? Like how difficult was it? What was the hardest part about it? What was the thing you learned from that that was most important to you?
Tanks? Finland's got them. They operate around 200 German-made Leopard 2 tanks, primarily the Leopard 2A6, a beast of a machine that's built to withstand some serious punishment. These tanks are heavily armored and equipped with advanced targeting systems, making them perfect for countering any armored assault. For artillery, they're packing over 100 K9 Thunder self-propelled howitzers, powerful enough to make any enemy think twice about advancing. These modern artillery systems can fire rapid, precise strikes that make it nearly impossible for an opposing force to make a breakthrough. They also maintain more than 700 field artillery pieces, making Finland one of the most heavily armed countries in Europe when it comes to artillery firepower. And when it comes to infantry weapons, Finland has stocked up on javelins and NLAWs, because nothing says go home like a guided missile heading your way. They also have a massive stockpile of small arms, including RK-62 and RK-95 rifles, which are built to withstand Finland's extreme weather conditions. Finland has also invested in anti-drone technology and air defense systems to ensure that any invading force would struggle to gain air superiority. Every part of Finland's ground forces is built around making an enemy's life as difficult as possible, using terrain, strategy, and firepower to devastating effect. And let's not forget, these are people who will gladly sit in a frozen forest for hours, drinking coffee in complete silence. You do not want to test their patience. If you think waiting in line at a Finnish supermarket is intimidating, imagine facing them on the battlefield. Now let's talk about air power. Finland's air force may not be the biggest, but it's smart, modern, and extremely well trained. Right now, they operate 62 FA-18 Hornet fighter jets, solid aircraft that can hold their own in a fight. These jets have been the center of Finland's air defense for years, and they've been continuously upgraded to keep them relevant in modern warfare. But Finland isn't stopping there. They've already placed orders for 64 F-35A Lightning II stealth fighters, which means in the coming years, their air force is about to become one of the most advanced in the region. The F-35 is a game changer, with stealth capabilities, advanced sensors, and the ability to integrate seamlessly with NATO forces. When these planes enter service, Finland will have a fleet that can challenge any potential threat in the skies. And let's not forget the advanced surface-to-air missile systems Finland has acquired, like the NASAMS and the Israeli David Sling system, ensuring that enemy aircraft and missiles never get too comfortable. And here's something cool. Finland's air force is trained to operate from highways. Yeah, they don't need fancy air bases to take off and land. If a war breaks out and airfields get hit, Finnish pilots can just roll onto a highway, fire up their jets, and get back in the fight.
Is that normal? I've never heard of that before. Like, I guess maybe that must be a thing, like, but I've just never heard it mentioned on any video learning about any Air Force. But I guess it makes sense if the highway is long enough that you could do that. But it's like just a pretty interesting to imagine that scenario. But yeah, again, like with this like doubling almost of the aircraft and it being so high tech as well, like you can really see like some good investment in Finland's air force, and so strong as well.
That's some next level planning right there, and it ensures that Finland's air force will never be completely grounded. Plus, this is a country where people genuinely enjoy driving in the snow for fun. So landing a jet on a highway probably feels like just another Tuesday. Now, let's talk about the game changer, Finland joining NATO. For years, Finland maintained a neutral stance, but with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that changed real fast.
They are ready to attack a neighboring country. If that would be the case that we join, well, my response would be that you caused this.
Now, as a full NATO member, Finland has access to top-tier intelligence, weapons, and most importantly, backup. If anyone dares to mess with Finland now, they're not just dealing with one country, they're dealing with an entire military alliance. Finland's integration into NATO means more joint exercises, more strategic coordination, and a stronger overall defense posture. They've also been working closely with Sweden, Norway, and the US in joint military exercises. This means Finland's forces aren't just trained to defend their own country. They're preparing to operate alongside some of the best militaries in the world. Finland's military power is a perfect example of quality over quantity. They might not have the largest army or the biggest fleet, but they have something just as important: a well-prepared, highly skilled, and fiercely determined force that's ready for anything. And now, with NATO in the picture, Finland has gone from a country that could defend itself to a country that's an essential part of European security. The message is clear: Finland isn't just ready for war, they've been preparing for it their entire existence.
It's like, yeah, definitely don't mess with Finland now, man, but I guess that's just always been the case. But it's really cool to get a better insight into the sizes, the equipment, the Finnish military use and stuff like that. So yeah, really stacked. And again, like, it's not just about, like it said, they're not just about the equipment and so on. It's about just that expertise, the personality of the soldiers and so on, the experience, the conscription experience and training. Yeah, it's really awesome. Again, like I said in the previous video, like, Finland just offers so much good to NATO. Like, you always talk about like what NATO can bring to countries in terms of like backup, like they say there, but there's just so much that Finland brings to NATO that's brilliant, man. Really pushing it up there as one of the most important members of NATO now, and especially its geographical location as a border to Russia, and just the climate and terrain and all that sort of thing. It's like really unique. So love it, man. It's great. I love the Finnish military. I've already talked about how much I really like the idea of conscription and stuff, but tell me what you think about this video. Thanks.